while we have more people joining us. I'm Holly Klaassen, and I am a parenting consultant, founder of the Fussy Baby site, fussybabysite.com, and Facebook groups that support around 50,000 parents of spirited and strong willed kids from ages 0 all the way up to pretty much teenagers. I myself am mom to two amazing teens, 13 and 16 years old. Hi, Angie. And my youngest child, when he was a toddler, well, baby, toddler, preschooler, he was very challenging, very strong-willed, very difficult to discipline. So that kind of directed my path towards helping other parents learn really respectful, effective strategies for parenting and for discipline. Um, you know, Disciplining in ways that we actually can feel good about. So that's really what I want to focus on today is three simple, respectful, and effective discipline strategies for toddlers and preschoolers. So I'm going to start by asking, hi, Cheryl. Um, Thank you. I'm going to start by asking a few questions that I've gotten on the Facebook post that was promoting this and that I often get from parents. So, how can I get my child to actually listen to me without yelling? That's one. What can I do instead of spanking, which I use mainly only because I don't know what else to do and I'm at the end of my rope? I totally get that one. Another one is how do I know which limits to set, which behaviors to set limits around, and which just to let go of? Maybe which ones are appropriate for my child's age and don't really actually need any type of discipline. Another one is how do I discipline a kid who won't stay in timeout or who will go to timeout but then actually gets more ramped up and doesn't actually seem to learn from timeout? So these are all questions that I had when my kids were little and that I know a lot of parents, especially of more sort of strong-willed kids, struggle with. So before I get into the actual strategies, I just wanted to just send a big reminder out there. I think that somehow, because of maybe the way that we were all raised or just our society in general, um, we have this idea that discipline means like our child getting in trouble. It means, getting frustrated at them. It means being really strict and firm and serious. And in my experience and the experience of the parents that I work with, this actually couldn't be further from the truth. You've probably heard that the root of the word discipline is to teach. And that's really what we're going to talk about today is how do we teach our kids? How do we set limits and how do we teach them these limits? And then also, how do we help them meet those limits? So it's a pretty different sort of paradigm to, our child misbehaves and we punish them or we send them to a timeout and somehow they learn right from wrong. What we're going to be kind of more focusing on is how do we set limits in a way that our child will listen, and then how do we help them meet those limits? I should also mention that we have about half an hour today, so I'm going to try my best to kind of get through this stuff in maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then if you've got questions, you can definitely share those now or at the end of the post. And I'll get to them, or at the end of the live, and I'll get to them a little bit later. So the very first strategy I would recommend if you have a toddler or preschooler is creating a yes space. So this is more than just baby proofing. It includes baby proofing, but it's more than that. So this is a place you're going to spend most of your time. It's going to be a place where your kids can kind of have free reign, and where anything that would be potentially dangerous or that you don't want them to have access to is going to be put away and not a temptation. There's a couple of reasons why I always recommend having a yes space. One is that, as you probably know, kids don't develop impulse control until at least age 4, sometimes later. So what that means is that It doesn't really matter how many times we say no or stop or danger. We really can't trust that our kid is going to remember that and do it. If they really, really want to do something, especially if they're super determined, they're going to do it, even if we're very consistently telling them no. So we would just want to make sure that it's not even, a temptation for them. Hi, Brooke. Hi, Ingrid. Welcome. So the second thing to remember is that especially younger toddlers, but even going into the preschool age, the way kids learn is not so much from what we're telling them, from the words we're using, but by the way that they're experiencing the world and their environment through their senses. They're going to touch everything. They're going to throw stuff. They're going to scratch. They're going to push things. They're going to climb things. They're going to taste things. They're going to bite things. This is totally normal. It doesn't mean we can't have limits around these things, but this is very age appropriate and is the way they learn. So this is why with a yes space, you don't want to just sort of, remove all the things that are temptations. You want to actually add things that really help them explore the world. So there's two main parts to a yes space. If you don't want your child to have access to something, it goes away. Locks on all the cupboards, chairs put away into another room, nothing dangerous like bookshelves to climb, nothing breakable. That's the first thing. But then the second thing is to actually add things to the room that will help them get out energy, that will help them climb, help them jump. So some of the things that parents in my groups often recommend are toddler trampolines, those foamnasium cushions that you can, build up and jump off of and make forts with. A pickler triangle, which is like a kind of a wooden indoor play climbing structure, ball pits. You can even just, you don't have to buy anything, just get a whole bunch of cushions and create kind of a jumping pit in your room, or a simple obstacle course. My kids love that. You can put tape on the carpet and, put a chair for them to jump off of and kind of give them safe basically to explore and get out their energy. So that's the first thing, is creating a yes space. The second strategy is probably one of the most important ones, and that is redirection. So I'm guessing most of you have already heard that, redirecting and distracting is the best form of discipline for very young kids. And but you also may have found it doesn't always work for you, that your child gets more ramped up when you try to redirect. So I'm going to share a little tip at the end of this section here to help you if that's your experience. But how you're going to redirect is this. You're going to name the feeling that you think your child's feeling. You're going to state your limit, and then you're going to redirect them. So for instance, I got a couple of examples for you. Let's say your child bites you. Rather than maybe just, putting them in timeout or kind of moving them away from the situation, you want to acknowledge that there's probably some big feeling behind this behavior. So you're going to say, I can see you're really frustrated right now, but I can't let you bite. So you've acknowledged the feeling and you've stated the limit. And now you're going to redirect. Let's go sit on the couch and cool off a bit. Another example, let's say your child keeps jumping off the couch. You're going to say, I can see you have a lot of energy, but it's not safe to jump off the couch. Here, let's put some cushions on the floor for you to jump on. So you're still setting a firm limit. We don't let you bite. I can't let you jump off the couch. And then we're moving their focus off of the thing that they wanted to do that we don't want them to do. Now, for preschoolers, especially for things like, that are going to hurt another person, like hitting, biting, throwing hard objects at someone, we're going to want to talk to them later, maybe once the emotions have calmed down a little bit, and maybe just explain, a better way to deal with those big feelings. We might want to role play a better way to deal with our frustration. We might want to even try to make it right. So for instance, with biting or hitting, we might want to later have our child draw an I'm sorry picture for their sibling to say, I'm sorry for biting you, or I'm sorry for hitting you. So those are all ways that we can kind of teach without yelling or spanking or punishing. So many parents get stuck on the last part of that, which is kind of the moving your child away and redirecting and distracting them. So one thing I find is that when your kid is really hyped up, really ramped up, and what I call they're in the vortex of frustration, they're so wrapped up in their feelings that they can't hear what we're saying in that moment. So if we're very calm and gentle, probably it's not even going to compute for them. Their heart rate's up, their heart's pounding. They're just feeling so angry. They're not even going to hear you. So you need to match their level of energy with your own energy, but in a positive way. So rather than being very calm and quiet and trying to get through to them that way, you're going to try to muster up an upbeat, enthusiastic voice, and then you're going to try to redirect them. For instance, hey, we got that new coloring book the other day. Let's go in the other room and color. Which color crayons would you like? And that wasn't very enthusiastic, but you know what I mean? You're going to be like really upbeat and, make it sound really desirable, the thing that you're going to redirect them to. So if you find redirecting is not working for you, try that. Just ramp up your energy to match theirs, and they're much more likely to actually hear you and get distracted. Okay, the third strategy is a very proactive discipline strategy that I like to call 10-2 time. So 10-2 time. So especially with more strong-willed kids, I love to spend more time up front with them to kind of fill their attention cup before they have a chance to misbehave. So you probably heard the whole idea of the attention cup, and that if kids aren't getting their attention needs met, they're going to ask for it in less than ideal ways. And it's very true. It's not in a manipulative way, but it's just the only way they know how to get attention from us. So rather than waiting for them to misbehave, we're going to try to give them that attention beforehand. And a really kind of effective way that doesn't take a lot of time is using the 10-2 strategy. So 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes twice a day. You're going to spend time with your child. You're going to approach them and you're going to ask them, say, I've got the next 10 minutes just for you. I want to do whatever you want to do. And then you got to do it. I don't care whether it's pretend, which I always hated, or a board game, or wrestling or tickling or whatever it is. You do whatever your child wants to do. Let them kind of be the one in control. So that's the first thing. You also want to make sure that you are 100% physically and emotionally present during that time. Think, as parents, especially during quarantine, we're with our kids all the time. And so we're like, well, how much more time can I give him? I'm already with him 24 hours a day. So, how is that, how is spending 10 minutes twice a day any better? This is time that is 100% emotionally focused on them. And kids can tell if you're not there, completely kind of mind and spirit. So I recommend doing this, if you can, right before a challenging time of day. So if you find, for instance, bedtime is really tricky, and that your child comes out of bed a lot or calls you all the time, you probably want to try spending 10 minutes before the bedtime routine doing whatever they want. Or let's say you have a friend coming over or an important phone call to make. You want to, Riley, I will try to address that later. Thank you. Good question. You're going to want to, spend that 10 minutes before you kind of need them to give you a bit of a break. And then what many parents find is it's such a simple strategy to use, but you'll tend to get, a good 15 to 30 minutes of really good behavior after that, because our kid sort of feels heard and understood and listened to. So those are the three strategies. Those were creating yes space, redirecting, and the 10-2 time.